Hot Wheels Car Culture Power Trip 2. Second Car Culture mix titled Power Trip. Third Car Culture mix of 2026. The very first mix of Power Trip several years ago, pre-Chase's All American Muscle, which makes a lot of sense with the name Power Trip. But this one is thought through a little bit differently. Let's talk about this mix because first off, we have the Chases. This is the BMW Chase. It does provide a sixth model, which lets Hot Wheels expand on the theme just a little bit. The other thing is this mix contains no new models. That's not something we see with car culture very often. So we got to take off the Hot Wheels hat for this one, for this showcase. So I'm going to do that. No Hot Wheels hat, no hype. This is just my car hat, because this is a car aficionados mix. This is a really well thought out, in fact, two different takes when it comes to power. You got the American muscle side for sure, all the muscle cars, which is all about attitude and speed and thrust and straight lines. And then you have the European approach to muscle, which is handling and engineering. And these collide with a couple of very interesting bridges. You'll see that. So let's do the unboxing. We'll start with the Chase. Just get that over with. Number 0 of 5, of course. It is the 1992 BMW M3, the E30. Gold Chases, we've talked about it enough. Like I said, I like the black Chases better, but this is the 10th anniversary. It is what it is. And it is a very cool choice for the theme of this mix, even though I probably won't even open it just because it's just more of a trophy piece really, but it does fit the theme. So that is number 1. And obviously that's on that European side. Second one, let's just start. There's the mix. 2 of each. We'll pull out 1 of each car. Obviously there are 5. No Chase. I have no idea which car is replaced with the Chase if you're lucky enough to get one. I asked, I haven't gotten the answer, but we start with number 1 of 5 and we'll stay in that European theme. Here is the back side if you want to see it. Whatever information you need for this when it's in store. Mattel did send this. I think it will be out very, very soon. But this is the BMW M3, the E46, a casting we've seen around a while. Of significance, we'll do the showcase, but of significance to this one is the fact that it is sporting those new wheels that we saw on the Evo wagon. So that's kind of cool to see. So there's your second BMW. Our first on the American muscle side, and I should say modern American muscle. All of these are relatively modern if you go like 80s and up. We're not talking 60s and 70s Chargers and Cudas and that sort of thing. We're talking about Trackhawks. That's about as modern as it gets. This is the 2019 Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk. Nice to see it in red. Nice to see it break away from its Fast and Furious origins. Makes a lot of sense in this mix. Staying with that American theme and going back is the 84 Mustang SVO, another casting that we've seen a couple of times in car culture. I think we'll get to that in the car show. That's a nice one to have. Obviously 2 of those, 2 of everything. I don't think I need to say that. And then last in that modern American muscle column is the 99 Ford F-150 SVT Lightning, another one with Fast and Furious origins that has moved into car culture. I think this might be the 2nd or 3rd time it's been in car culture, but nice to see this one in a very menacing look, the Ford SVT F-150. And last, and certainly my favorite, but I don't think that is a secret at all, joining this European column in the handling and performance and engineering realm is the absolute bonkers 2008 Mercedes-Benz CLK 63 AMG Black Series. That's a lot of syllables, but an amazing car. This is the 2nd version. Boulevard first last year. Now we already have it in white, and a white Mercedes. I mean, no complaints. So there is the mix. I guess we could go German engineering versus American muscle. We will get into this in the showcase. Ready? Let's do it. Hot Wheels truly took advantage of having a 6th car in these anniversary mixes, at least with Power Trip. I know coming off of Thrill Climbers with a gasser didn't really work with that theme. In this case, the BMW totally tracks. In fact, the evolution here and the theme here is fantastic. And the E30, aside from the gold deco, the E30 in this mix totally makes sense, and kudos to Hot Wheels for taking advantage of that. I've got the other premium releases of this casting. This is actually the 5th time it's been in car culture with a little special edition, but before it got there, and it's been in basic a lot, but we're talking premium today, it was in this racing set from 2011. Kind of difficult to find. Greenwood Corvette is in here as well. Junimai design originated for this, along with the Greenwood in that mix in this M Deco. And then we had this run of car culture cars. And yeah, when you're talking about German engineering, German speed, German precision, the E30 is one of those godfather cars, especially when we're talking about modern power. Really kind of hits the origins of German engineering and German power. And the M series, of course, the M cars that all come after this, with the E30 being the originator in this case, totally makes sense. You've got those two cars from Car Culture. We had this, technically Car Culture as well, the Supreme model from the Team Transport set. I guess Car Culture, but also limited edition, but technically Car Culture. And then I think of all of those releases, this remains my favorite because it's the cleanest of the street versions of this casting, in black with the lace wheels, also in Car Culture. A nice little mix of cars for sure, and looking good. Now, I like the Chases, the anniversary Chases, as their own thing, but when you talk about this theme of this mix, this really works. And speaking of, you just got the origins with the E30, and then you go to the E46, and you see all of that enhanced with the E46. Now, this model has just been on an absolute tear. We will open this one up, but if you talk through the premium versions of this one, this isn't counting the RLC, which is a little bit different, but this one has origins in Fast and Furious. A lot of the castings in this set do, starting with that white one. I think this was Deutschland design, if I, maybe not, I can't remember. But Car Culture with this blue series car, the Eibach Team Transport. This has just been, it was trying to figure out all these cars was kind of crazy. BMW M set in the M stripes. Fits well with a couple of these other ones from the E30. Then back to Car Culture, this red with the chrome 10 spokes. Want to see more chrome models. That one is fantastic. The best one might be this color, of course. And this was actually from Boulevard. It's the one time it's been in Boulevard with the 5 spokes. And then I think the latest one was from the Legends set, the Team Transport set from last year. So already this many, very popular model. And we have this Power Trip version to open. And then the first German car to sport these new, whatever we want to call them, the double 6 spoke, I don't know. But in green, this is pretty good. Tan interior, looks awesome. It's clean. I thought about, when I was doing these showcases, is I would just pull out all the street versions of these castings, but no fun. We want to talk about the history of these cars. When you talk about the E30 and then the E46 and just that legacy of these M cars, two legendary models here, and they totally fit within this Power Trip. So there's your two BMWs, and then we have to add to that the Mercedes. This is a perfect evolution. E30, sequel is the E46, not the sequel, but part of that M legacy is the E46 M3. And then you have this Mercedes, which was all about that German precision, but with a little bit of that American muscle. Wide body car, just full of power, just an insane amount of modifications to make this car a monster on the track, a monster on the road. And it was just, for lack of a better term, a Mercedes on steroids. Well, we can't open it up until, of course, we show the first version in silver. I'm looking forward to all kinds of versions of this casting. White will always be my favorite because you know that I just love white cars, and I especially love white Mercedes. But I'm looking forward to a black version of this car. The silver's great, maybe red, but let's focus on this white version of the 2008 Mercedes-Benz CLK 63 Black Series. It is fantastic. You don't need to do anything other than change the color. Keep the 10 spokes on this one. They're the right wheels. just add a little bit of detail on the front, add a little bit of detail on the back, give it some AMG badging. Between the two, the C63 and the CLK Black Series, we have two fantastic Mercedes, and both like dream cars for me. I would love to have either one of those in my garage, and I think of all of these cars, that one is absolutely my favorite. All right, that's the German side. We're going to revisit the CLK in just a second. Oh, but before, I forgot this one too. If we're going to do a full representation of the E46, I totally forgot the Mexico show car from, well, 2022. So also with M stripes. So you got two M versions of this casting, or at least M decos with this casting. So that one's out there too. Totally forgot. So yeah, ton of versions of this car. All right, let's do the American side of this mix. And what's cool about these, obviously with the two German cars and the American cars we looked at, these are all street cars that have been enhanced in-house by specialized teams for each one of these brands, right? AMG, M, SVO, SVT, of course. We'll get to all of this. That is the theme, but it's also broken down into these two different sides. And what's cool about this particular one, the Special Vehicle Operations Mustang, the 84 Mustang, is, yes, the Mustang is all about power, and yes, it's all about torque, but this particular car, the purpose of its development was to take that Fox body and enhance it or develop it with a little bit of a nod to our friends in Europe, with a little bit more focus on handling and some of those performance elements that were more like the European cars of the time. And at the same time, while this bridges the American and the German side, it's met in the middle by this one. This is why I think this is such a cool curated mix, because the CLK was that German engineering and focus on handling with a nod towards American muscle, wide body, just pure power, that just growling attack on the street that the American muscle cars have. That is what the CLK is. So these are your two middle cars. That's like the subset within these two sets within the entire set. Let's talk about the SVO. Obviously developed by the Special Vehicle Operations, eventually the Special Vehicle team. We'll get to that in a second. What do I have from this casting? I have three. I think it started in basic. Then it was in, you have to go all the way back to the original Boulevard to get this burnt orange. I think this was its origins in premium. The one that is probably the one to have, and I think will be a nice companion to the Power Trip, is from this special RLC Car Culture set. It was done after, I believe, the first or second year of Car Culture, where they took they took each themed mix and they added one more car, a sixth car. I don't even remember what the mix was, but this white Vanilla Ice, for those that know, Fox body in pure white with the chrome rims was a fantastic model. And then most recently, and there might, like I said, there might be others, but all I remember is this mail-in version that I still have. I don't do a ton of the mail-ins, but I have that. So I have two burnt oranges and I have this white, but the two to have will be the white and this silver one. Let's get this one open, of course. This casting is definitely a little bit throwback with the large wheels in the back. And when you look at real pictures of the SVO, this is a Hot Wheels enhanced version for sure. So it's a little bit dated compared to maybe how it would be done now, but I actually love that they did this casting and just kept it as is. And there is your mix. I think, you know, the mail-in's fine, but I think this trio is actually the better grouping of that particular car. Okay, so we go from SVO to SVT, same thing. There's your typical Ford truck, slightly lowered, totally enhanced to create a behemoth on the track, just a pure menacing truck. And I should have waited to open this, but I already opened it, so I've got the other trucks here. But you know, sometimes I get a little bit ahead of myself because I really wanted to open this one up. All black, black rims. It looks fantastic. I love that Ron wanted to give this a nice clean black look, and I think you can find trucks like this. Now, like I said, this is an enhanced built for performance truck that is essentially, it's the Ford body that was the whole idea, was to keep the body essentially the same with the tweaks under the hood, of course, and then they did lower it. Now, of course, the origins of this casting, there is a basic version, but it's slightly different than the premium. This one has its origins in Fast and Furious. So you have the shop truck, the original shop truck, of course. And then I think it was done a little bit later when, you know, because Fast and Furious cars tend to return with the 5-spoke. So I've kept both because it is slightly different. And then it has been in Car Culture once and Boulevard. So you go back to one of the other truck mixes. Remembering the names of these mixes is tough for me, but this one goes back to one of those truck mixes. Nice, you know, this one now, which at the time was a little drab, and that mix was a bit of a peg warming mix. Now that you start getting these different versions, now this one starts to take on a little bit more of an exciting life, at least for me. And then you have this Boulevard one, which was very popular. I think this was 2 years ago, in blue with the 5 spokes. That looks really nice. And then now you add this black version, which looks great. That's a nice mix of very, very fast Ford trucks. And we end it, but stay tuned because I still have one more thing I want to show you, with the Trackhawk. I saw this truck for the first time. I think it may be debuted in truck. This is an SUV, pure and simple an SUV. I saw this Trackhawk unveiled at Los Angeles Auto Show, I believe, but they brought one to, this was 2017, I think. They brought one to Moab for Jeep Safari, and I happened to be in Moab that week. And in the parking lot of Walker's drugstore, for those that know Moab, you know where that is. Finally saw that there was a little bit of a lull in the crowd, and I was able to stop and take a look at this. And it was wild. That's a Hellcat engine in this thing. And I think it's a very cool, this is one of those, like, why I love Fast and Furious, because I don't know if we would see this otherwise. But it was in red, so I'm happy to have it. It is Fast and Furious Origins. There's your first version. I have no idea what it was in the movie. I still got to do my Fast and Furious project. That was in gunmetal gray, and then it was re-released in a matte gunmetal gray, so different enough for me to keep both in the collection. If it was just a total same model, like a full carryover, I don't know if I would keep it. But those are nice and gray. But the model to have will be this debut, this basic version of the debut of the Trackhawk in red. This is how I remember it. I think that's how it debuted in LA. And I don't know if the Trackhawk and with the Hellcat engine is a thing still, but it was then. Just kind of a makes no sense vehicle, but I don't think any of these cars technically make sense. They don't need to, right? That's not the point. The point is to create something wild, and they sure did. This looks great. Obviously, with the red, you can get a little bit of a better sense of the details here. This is a really beautiful casting, to be honest. It's a pretty simple casting, but it's a very simple Jeep Cherokee. Good size. I like the wheels on this one. They just treated it well. I'm telling you, man, this mix, like I said, no new models, of course. No fancy decos, just good colors. All street versions of very powerful cars. I think we have something really special. So, one last thing. I was looking at this mix, and because it was so curated and so well done, I thought, like, what other models with this kind of theme, like these street cars that have been enhanced over the years, the last few decades, what would I add? Like, kind of maybe underappreciated. Now, one couldn't be more appreciated, at least in this house, but I thought of two that I would love to see if Power Trip 3 comes back, and this is kind of how they're doing it. There's two cars that I would love to see maybe get that premium treatment as a good entry point for premium treatment. The first one has been somewhat forgotten, and it might be a time to be redone, but I started with the Cadillac CTS-V, casting from 10, 15 years ago, obviously based on a defining car for Cadillac, something that basically changed the brand. And this went from, you know, Cadillac was an old person's car to all of a sudden something really sporty and really cool. And the CTS-V was something really special. And this black version I thought was fantastic. It's been in several colors. I kept the 3 first editions, black, silver, and maroon. It could probably be updated a little bit, but I wouldn't complain if this one went to premium. And I would also say, if you don't want to do this casting, then do the wagon. and create a premium version of the original CTSV wagon, and I would be stoked to see that. I think that would be a fantastic premium car and would obviously do well in a million wagon mixes. But that was the first one. The second, I was like, okay, that's the American muscle, modern muscle version that I would add, but we got to have a Euro version as well. Now, the first one actually has been in premium, but this would be the first one I would consider, is the 500e. Porsche tuned Mercedes-Benz, but it did go to premium for Canyon Carvers or whatever that one was, and it was actually the Chase. So it has been there. This is the first edition. So I can't do that one. So I might as well go for my favorite. It's still in basic. It's been great in basic, but this thing needs to go premium. And when you're talking about a street car that's been enhanced, well, AMG did the CLK, but years before that, you had the 560 SEC. Now, wide body, menacing, little bit of that American muscle influence, a little bit of that menacing look. Obviously, still some precise German engineering, and one heck of a car. I absolutely love this model. You know, it's my favorite basic. Might be my favorite Hot Wheels of all time. And let's make this premium. And you know what? Just put it in black. I don't care, but I want it in white. But check that thing out. Why couldn't that be your next power trip entry? What do you think? Good choices? I'm motivated to do it because the choices of Power Trip now are spot on. I think this is a great mix. Like I said, some of these cars may hang on the pegs just a little bit, but give this one some love. This is a true car aficionados mix. And we want this kind of stuff. I think we all do. People can chase the chase, of course, but appreciate this mix because I think this is a nice lean in for that. I know many, many people want to see. You guys tell me what you think. Thanks, everybody. Bye.